Am I a person, a voice, or a raccoon? What am I?
Marvel sure has some unique techniques they used when casting the Eternals, and for some of them, securing their roles proved to be quite easy.
Being Mexican, a woman, and my age, it felt like they were punking me.
For the longest time, Angelina Jolie was one of the biggest stars who had yet to join a superhero movie. Previous to Eternals, the Oscar-winner actress had even turned down another high-profile superhero role. Jolie really gravitated to Eternals because of its character-driven nature. Funnily enough, initially Jolie wasn't even told what character she would be playing in the film, which led Jolie to ponder just how big or small her role was going to be. Jolie's kids had some important questions for her. When she revealed to them she was joining the franchise.
I think the first question was, what color are you?
When Jolie assured her kids that she'd still look somewhat like herself on screen, they quickly asked what her powers would be. Jolie noted that her kids were very quick to get a hint of who her character was, despite none of the characters in Eternals being household names. When Marvel initially approached Salma Hayek about joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, she was ready to turn them down. Hayek had been a bit frustrated about never being approached to play a superhero.
It didn't come in my 20s, it didn't come in my 30s, it didn't come in my 40s, and all of a sudden they show up in my 50s.
Hayek initially assumed that the studio wanted her to play a grandmother sort of role, thinking that her role was some kind of extra or an old prostitute. Once she learned the director was Chloe Zhao, Hayek had a change of heart and met with Marvel. In the comics, Hayek's character Ajak is traditionally played as a man, but the role was gender swapped for the big screen. Hayek claimed that this decision was a beautiful shocker to her. Hayek admits that she was a bit intimidated at first, as despite being told that she'd have a major role in the movie, she wasn't given a script, had to enter negotiations and sign a contract, and wasn't able to tell anybody about the exciting new turn in her career. Kit Harington made waves as Jon Snow on Game of Thrones, and Marvel head honcho Kevin Feige had been eyeing Harington for quite some time. A year before Harington was cast as Dane Whitman, Harington had actually had a general meeting with Feige about potentially joining the franchise. A year passed by, and Harington received a call from the film's producer, Nate Moore, about joining the Eternals as Dane Whitman, who in the comics goes on to become the superhero Black Knight. They'd said, look, it's not a major part size-wise in this movie, but it's a really interesting character that could go somewhere cool. I did some reading up on it, and then I said, yes. Just like his days as Jon Snow on Game of Thrones, Harington had to be quite secretive on who exactly he would be playing in the Eternals, but of course he was prepared.
I think if there was a school for that, then Game of Thrones is a pretty good school to go through.
Lia McHugh is one of the more unknown names out of the ensemble cast of Eternals. That being said, McHugh's audition to play Sprite wasn't her first experience with the Marvel Universe. When she was younger, the 14-year-old actress had auditioned for roles in several Marvel television shows, though this time it was a bit different. While she was auditioning in the same location as before, she wasn't told if the project was related to Marvel. All the description read for the character was for a character with dark eyes and dark hair, which led to McHugh telling the casting team that she was willing to dye her hair and wear contacts. I think my second round of callbacks, I finally got real sides, and I was sort of able to figure out who Sprite was by Googling, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is for an Eternal. I could play a superhero. The next call from Marvel was the ultimate dream come true for McHugh.
When I first got the call, I was overwhelmed with emotions.
Kumail Nanjiani is not typically an actor you'd expect to play a superhero, but given all the funny men boarding superhero films, it shouldn't be too much of a shocker. When Marvel had approached Nanjiani about playing a superhero in the Eternals movie, Nanjiani proved that he didn't need much swaying to board the project.
Yes, I literally said yes right in the room.
In fact, the only person Nanjiani initially told about the role was his wife. When it came down to working on how he would play Kingo, he had a pretty blunt discussion with director Chloe Zhao. I was like, okay, so how do you see Kingo? She was like, he's you. I picked you because I wanted him to be you. Nanjiani ended up going through quite the transformation for the role in terms of his body, despite the director's wishes to have him keep his regular body type. Lauren Ridloff's breakout role in the hit television series The Walking Dead helped get Marvel's attention. Ridloff didn't exactly have to audition for the role. Rather, she was tapped by Chloe Zhao and producer Nate Moore. The director asked her about her passions in life, to which she responded, reading, running, and the arts. From there, the conversation shifted to the Eternals, and finally to the character of Makari, who in the comics is typically portrayed as male. Ridloff was previously unfamiliar with the character, but did her research after that fateful meeting, and the next time she met with the director and producer, they offered her the role. Brian Tyree Henry was quite emotional when Marvel approached him to play Phastos in Eternals, describing it as an out-of-body experience. Henry said he was at a loss for words when he was cast, and that the feeling he felt upon learning the news is a difficult sensation to explain.
You just say yes, and you cry, and then you can't tell anybody anything, so then you cry some more.
Kevin Feige has said that the true lead of the film is Gemma Chan, who plays Sersi. Oddly enough, despite being the main character, the actress was one of the last people cast for the film. Producer Nate Moore revealed that she wasn't even the first choice for the role, since she had already had a role in the MCU movie Captain Marvel as the blue-skinned Minn-Erva. After bringing in Chan for a line reading, the casting team realized that she truly was perfect for the part, and that her inclusion wouldn't be nearly as distracting, as Minn-Erva and Sersi are two characters that look completely different from one another. Chan claims that she was pleasantly surprised when she was offered the lead role.
I was as surprised as anyone else. I was not expecting to be back.
Chan was already close friends with Richard Madden prior to being cast in the role of Sersi, but the thought of getting to work with her longtime friend made her even more excited to join the cast. I obviously jumped at the chance, and to get to work with Richard Madden and the rest of the amazing cast, it's great. Barry Keoghan had long been a fan of Marvel superheroes and had even made a tweet back in 2013, hoping to one day become a superhero on screen. It was a dream come true when he was approached to play Droog in Eternals. I would say it's a pinch me moment, and I would say I still won't realize that until it comes out probably. You know, it's going to be a nice feeling then. According to Don Lee, he was the creative team's first and only choice when it came down to the character Gilgamesh. Lee is already a hugely successful actor in Korea, starring in blockbusters such as Train to Busan, The Outlaws, and The Neighbors. After the international success of Train to Busan, Lee's fame started to go even beyond Korea. I received numerous offers from Hollywood. I got a call from the casting director of Eternals, who offered me the role of Gilgamesh. Chloe Zhao and Nate Moore had in fact already seen many of Lee's films and analyzed his character even before Lee said yes to the role. It definitely seems like that even if Lee told Marvel no, they would not have taken it as an answer. Thankfully, Lee happily obliged for his first major role in an American production. Chloe Zhao didn't set out to build another A-list Marvel cast for the Eternals, and instead intended to look for actors who could bring themselves to the roles. Yet, in the end, the Eternals cast may just be one of the most impressive groups of actors in the entire MCU. What has been your favorite cast in a Marvel movie?